Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
At 11:02 on The Lock Shop, brought to you by Coolbet. Thank you very much for being here today. Dusty with you. Hustle's going to join us right away. Pete Greggy will be by around 11:30, and we'll dive into waste management today. But lots to get to. Just another reminder that we are doing a Lock Shop Poker Series event next Tuesday night, so be ready for that. Mark it on your calendars. This time next week, we'll be coming back in and being like, oh, I can't believe I went out in 13th. This is crazy. And, oh, you'll never believe the hand. I mean, these are all the funny poker stories that we'll get to share. So that's terrific. If you haven't signed up for an account yet over at Coolbet, make sure you do. Use the code LOCKSHOP when you sign up, and you'll get a 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit up to $200. They've got the big game bonuses right now. And, of course, they also are rolling out the bet of the day, I do believe. I don't see it up on the combo cards right now, but for the Super Bowl as well. So let's bring in Huss today. We're going to talk about Winnipeg too, in a couple of different fronts. Huss, how you doing, my man?
Living the life in first place, dude.
Of course you are.
Nobody beats the brick. How about Eric Conway last night?
That was a great tweet last night. I saw that.
Dude, you listen, he had some really tough luck. He'd been playing on all the second ends of the back-to-backs. The Jets, for whatever reason, over the course of a couple months, gave him no run support despite being the highest scoring team in the league. It all came together last night. Heck of a game. Eric Connery was the first star. The Matt Prefontaine, the Jets video coach, should be the second star. 2 successful challenges last night. And a great night at the rink. So I have some Jets takes right now, actually. Let me.
Okay.
I'm going to hit you all with this, and I'm going to do this again on WST because I feel I need to do this as a service to the people and the lock shoppers out there. If I told you in any league you could get the number one team that has scored the most goals in the league, has allowed the second fewest goals in the league, has 2 of the top 4 goal scorers in the league, and has the best goaltender in the league, as the 10th favorite to win a championship at 15-1, would you not say that line does not make sense?
It was on my list of things to discuss right off the top today because I noticed it last week and I was like, okay, I got to wait on this till Huss gets back because, I mean, they're 15-1. Washington, even Washington, the season they're having, they're 13-1. Vegas is plus 1250. Colorado's plus 1250. The Leafs are 12-1. The Devils are plus 1050. Dallas is 10-1. Florida's 9-1. Carolina's plus 650 and Edmonton at plus 600. But as Huss just laid it out, I mean, arguably best offensive team, best defensive team, first place, 15-1. What's up with the disrespect, Huss? They're the Rodney Dangerfield of the National Hockey League.
It's like people are just waiting for the bottom to fall out. They had that great start. And again, the Jets opened at 25-1. It went down to 20 very early because, they just won 15 of their first 16 games. At one point, I think it got down to 12. And then, they had that really tough portion of the schedule where they were just sort of 500 basically through early to mid-November to early December. And since then, they've been the second best team in the league. I'm just looking at my open bets. I'm just looking to see. I guess it doesn't have the date. Oh, okay. Beginning last month, every time I would win a bet, I would take whatever the change is and stick it on the Jets. So I'm now looking, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different just Jets. Because as I said, I can't get away from this number. Now, am I saying they're going to win the Stanley Cup? No. Do they have as good of a chance as just about anybody right now? I would say yes. And the fact that you're getting the Jets at 15, while many of these other teams that they're beating and are below them in the standings are at 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10. I guess the bottom line is people are going to wake up. I would imagine this probably happens during the Four Nations break when there's a lot of things that are sort of recalibrated, if you will. And I think that Jet number is going to get into single digits. And I don't think it's going to take very long to do it. I mean, we're now, oh, by the way, I should also mention of all those things that I didn't mention a historically good power play. A power play that 2/3 through the season is actually ahead of the Oilers record-setting power play 2 years ago. That makes a big difference as well. I mean, by every single measure this year, the Jets, if they're not number one, they are right there in everything. So it's crazy. I think we can safely say that if this team was in a bigger market, if they had a better playoff run one of the last couple of years, this opportunity would not be there. If you want the best value bet on the board right now, NHL futures, there is absolutely no doubt that the Winnipeg Jets are that team. Now, I get it. There'll be naysayers. They'll be saying, hey, tell me what happens in the playoffs. Well, guess what? This number is not going to be there when the playoff comes. So if you've seen enough from the Winnipeg Jets this year that you think that, okay, this team is for real, they're going to be a bitch in the playoffs for whoever that they play, regardless of what happens at the trade deadline, I encourage you to go to the NHL futures and look at that 15-1 number and get it while it's there, because I don't think it's going to be around much longer.
The other Winnipeg thing I wanted to get to, Huss, you saw the Athletic piece? Did you see the Athletic piece? How about, okay, so I figure you probably want to get into this. I want your take on it because it just, I don't know. So the Athletic polled a bunch of players. If you have a no trade list, what's the first team on it?
Winnipeg.
Okay, and Greg Wyshynski brought this up to us today. I wasn't even aware of it. Wyshynski brought it up because there's 16 teams listed here, and probably for the first time ever, Edmonton's not on there. Like Edmonton, Winnipeg, always, we know what it is in these markets.
Yeah.
So there's 16 teams. Edmonton didn't even get a vote. So we're like, wow, actually, it's kind of 48.7% of the vote was Winnipeg. Buffalo was 19, and then it was 8-3-3-3-3. So, I mean, the Jets are good. They've been good for a while. I mean, what do you have to say on behalf of Winnipeg for NHL players being like, we want no part of it? Because that's I figured Winnipeg would be near the top. I thought Edmonton would be somewhere on the list, but I didn't expect it to be 50% of the players being like, no, Winnipeg would be number one on the list. Like,
I mean, I can't say that I'm surprised, and I don't care. Like, the fact of the matter is, the Jets, if all you want to do is live in a warm weather spot where there's no taxes, sorry, this ain't the place for you.
Yeah.
If you want to come to a great organization with a great team, with an amazing core that's locked up long term, with a chance to win in a market that lives and breathes your team, where you're a big deal, where people legitimately care, maybe you should consider Winnipeg. Listen, success is the best thing, and the Edmonton is perfect. Like, I mean, how different really are Edmonton and Winnipeg? Probably a bigger, newer rink. I'll give that.
Yeah.
But outside of that, smaller market, cold winter Canadian cities. Listen, there's a lot of guys that that's an automatic no. And if that's the case, you know what? Your loss. Now, with the opportunity to play with McDavid and Draisaitl, as you mentioned, with the thought of actually winning, which being quite important, I think much like I just kind of laid out with the odds right now, I think people are kind of slow to realize just what we've got going on here with this team. And you know what? Maybe they won't realize until the team does something special. But the season has been incredible. They continue to prove naysayers wrong. And the guys that are here that are part of this team, they love being here. So if half the league doesn't want to come to Winnipeg, no problem. You can try and beat them in the playoff.
That's a good line. I like that line. I like that line. I said, I think it comes down to Winnipeg as a city marketing the chicken tendies at the Elephant and Castle a little bit more. Like, I cannot wait to get back to Winnipeg for a CFL game because I haven't had those tendies in 3 months and it's driving me crazy. So
it's been too long. It's been too long.
It has been too long.
Are you guys coming here, or are the Jets going to Edmonton later on? I'm just trying to think. I'm pretty sure because we played that first game of the season in Edmonton. I guess it's back here.
Got to be there. I'm looking it up right now.
I think it's in April.
No, it's here. March. Do you play 2 more times? Yeah. Here in March, there in April.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. March 20th here, April 13th there.
March 20th, a Thursday. Ooh, that would be a fun time to come out, and a couple days off actually to get back. Well, we got lots going on over the next little while, but I would love nothing more. And I know we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but a Jets-Oilers conference final.
Oh, man.
Guaranteeing a Canadian team in the cup final.
It's the dream, Huss. It's the dream.
Listen, if that happens, I will be at every game. I'm saying it right now. When the games are in Edmonton, we will come out for them and do it. Now, listen, there's a lot of work to be done, but I got to tell you, I mean, even the people that were the most negative around here saying, we've been burned the last couple of years. I mean, hey, losing to Vegas and Colorado, 2 pretty good teams. But you learn in a lot of ways, in life. You move forward by learning from your failures in the past. And make no mistake about it, the last 2 playoffs were definite failures. But I look at this team and the way they've acknowledged the shortcomings of last year, have tackled it head on, and it has made them a much better, much more competitive, much more consistent team. And there's not a team right now in the National Hockey League that you could put and I say this team can't win. Now, could they lose to them? For sure. I mean, we see upsets all the time.
Yeah.
But it's an exciting group. And, to be honest, I mean, they've now rattled off 7 in a row without Adam Lowry in the lineup. And that, to me, might be the biggest development of what's happened with the Jets as of late. That, David Gustafsson, Rasmus Kupari stepping up. I mean, I know they've thought that they've got this hole at center and they really do want to get another center.
I was going to say, is that what they're looking to add here pre-deadline? That's it?
I mean, I think that's no different than last year when they went and got Monahan. They've sort of been looking for that number 2C ever since Dubois left. And, we brought back in Gabriel Velarde, who's been so good. And then the other side is the blue line. And I mean, you look at the blue line and on paper, it's not like the 17-18 blue line where they had Buff and Trouba and Myers all on the right side. I'll tell you what, they sure are getting it done right now. Now, I would be surprised if they didn't add another defenseman to be in the mix. But I mean, are they going and trying to, get that big time top 4D? Like, there's a lot of guys that have earned their spot in the lineup right now and are playing at a really high level. So there's an element to not adding too much, I think, right now because of how well this team is playing and the guys that are getting opportunities when there's been an injury or two playing so well. So, I mean, I think Chevy will be diligent. I certainly think that the most likely thing for the Jets to do would be to add a defenseman, preferably on the right side, that can play in the 2 or 3 pairing, depending on what's going on. And then from a forward standpoint, I mean, if you can get a legitimate top 6 center, great. But I think that if they got more of a tweener, like a middle 6 guy, like a Yanni Gourdish player that could come in and potentially play on the second line, but could also play in the bottom 6 that has some playoff experience, I think they go that way as well. But it is funny how, I've always said that, I like living in Winnipeg, and when the end of the world happens, much like everything else, it'll happen 6 months later here than everywhere else. It seems that it's just taking way longer for a lot of people around the league that maybe don't pay very close attention to the other markets of just how good this team has been and how different they are than last year, despite having a large chunk of the same personnel. And the power play is the best example of that. I mean, the fact that this team is a full percentage point ahead of where the Oilers were with the greatest power play in NHL history. I mean, they have been putting up historic numbers, and that's totally sliding under the radar. Standings right now, the Jets' goal differential is plus 67. Like, to put that into perspective, Dallas is plus 39, Colorado's plus 9, Minnesota's even. I mean, the Oilers, with one of the best records in the league, the Oilers are plus 30. Jets are 37 more goals to the good. So, I don't know. I think it's a nice opportunity. If you have no skin in the game, if this was a football team, if this was a baseball team, this was basketball, and you could tell me that there's a team that's number one in the league, and you look at all of these metrics, you look at underlying numbers, it's all right there, and yet you could get them at a better price than 9 other teams in the league, I would bet that automatically. So, not trying to get more people on the wagon and move this number, but I feel I owe it to the people of the Lock Shop to get into this right now.
Nielson and Huss with you here on the Lock Shop today. Patty's going to be by in about 10 minutes. We'll dive into waste management. Boston Common letting us down last night. The entire multi-sport parlay. I'll talk about the Clippers and Lakers in a second because I pretty much watched that entire game. But Boston Common falls to 0-1-1 in TGL action, Huss.
I was at the game. Tell me about it.
They fell behind early. Like, first of all, I thought, like, we sat down for dinner and I was like, well, Nielson family, time for a little TGL action. And I turned it on, and it wasn't starting until 7. I swear, some of them have started at 5 o'clock my time, because I'm like, this is disappointing now. And then the Oilers game started, so we were watching that. But I was trying to flip back as much as I can. The Muzz and I watched it for a bit when I was blow drying her hair last night. And I think they were down 4-0 at one point. Like, I know the final score ended up being 6-2. But LA goes to 2-0, pretty much in full control the entire time. LA so far, they beat Tiger 12-1, and then they beat Rory 6-2. So it might be time to start taking the Los Angeles Golf Club a little seriously moving forward.
A nice little start for the TGL guys. Let's see. Are the futures back up here? TGL. It's everything for the game right now. Oh, just while we're talking golf, I guess we'll get into this one. I guess there's a game there. They'll redo the futures, I guess, and get those up for TGL. But Liv's kicking off this week. And do you know Liv's now on Fox?
I saw you guys. I think I saw. Weren't you guys texting about it in the group chat?
We could have been, but
I think I saw something on there.
But it's on Fox. They're starting in Saudi Arabia this week, but they're playing the games in the middle of the night there
for TV over here.
Exactly. So it can be in prime time here. And dude, it's all under the lights. It's going to be dark. Like, the course is going to be lit. I think it's going to look really, really cool. Listen, if Liv now is some TV exposure. It's going to start off with night golf, and then they're going to Adelaide in Australia, which is the one market that has
home of the Crows.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out to the Crows. It's a huge deal there with all the Aussies on the tour, and it's a massive party. Like, if they can't get any traction with these first couple of events, the way that it's set up, and credit to them for doing it the way that they're doing it, I don't know if there's any future. Like, I don't know if people will ever care about Liv. I still don't know whether people care at all about the team nature of Liv, just with the way they set it up, but at least the tournaments themselves. Because it is funny. Like, I'm pulling up the Liv odds right here, and we'll ask Pat about this. But for Liv is supposed to be like team golf. I mean, there's no range goats futures. There's no, the cliques. It's just all like a regular tournament where you're looking at, okay, there's John Rahm plus 650, Tyrrell Hatton going down the list. If Bryson is in contention, if Bryson does well, like he to me is the guy that moves the needle of LIV, which is crazy because, you got John Rahm, you got some of these other guys, but it's Bryson's personality that's taken him to another level and what he's done off
social media and stuff,
in the majors. But I am quite interested. I think we're going to need to get a couple LIV Golf Riyadh picks in just because we'll want to see how things go and have a little action when watching the night golf coming up.
I watched Lakers Clippers last night, and I thought it would be like, Luka's coming game. They played well lately game. I almost thought that game would go the exact opposite direction. Like I thought LeBron would be sitting out in the second half, and it would just be like, whatever, Luka's rolling in. But man, they look good last night. Like I watched them play the Knicks on Saturday, and then I watched last night, and I mean they dropped 45 points in the first quarter of that basketball game, and then it was on cruise control. In the end, James Harden only had 4 more points than Bronny James, if you can believe it. Like that's the type of night it went for the Clippers last night. And then Luka's just sitting there watching, and I'm watching the Lakers dismantled pretty decent Clippers team, and then a pretty good Knicks team the couple days before without Anthony Davis. And I'm like, man, like now you add Luka into this. And I mean, I don't know, man. The Lakers might be a tough out come playoff time. And Rob Pelinka said he was going to try to add another big. So we'll see how that changes things. Plus, the whole Kevin Durant situation's up in the air right now. So we'll see if KD lands somewhere else and how that might change the playoff picture. But I was very impressed last night by what I saw for a team that's about to add Luka Doncic to it.
Well, I wasn't impressed because we had the Clippers at minus 345. What the Lakers were like 3-1 underdog?
They were like plus 280 or something like that, underdogs. So we had the Clippers in the parlay. We had the over in the Buffalo-Ottawa game, which didn't hit. Yeah. And then Boston Common. Like the multi-sport just fell right off the rails last night. It was very disappointing.
We got them out earlier in the week. Now we can focus in on the winners heading into the weekend. Oh, so Bronny's actually back on the Lakers. I thought he was in the G League.
He's going back and forth. So he's averaging like 16 in the G League, and then he does a little mop-up time with the Lakers.
Yeah, he got 6 minutes last night.
Yeah, he came in, played the last 5 minutes. Missed a couple free throws. That was his first 3 that he hit so far. So,
oh, nice. The first ever. Well, listen, good for them. I went to the bar after the Jet game and looked up, and the Clips were down by 20.
Like the Clip no-showed. I was just like, what the hell's going on? I saw somebody tweet out and be like, the rivalry's over. Like Clippers and Lakers again. It's just, I mean, they're managing Kawhi, and it wasn't good last night. I thought the Lakers would just take the night off, but turns out it was the Clippers that took the night off. So
Harden 2 for 12 shooting, 0 for 5 from 3, 7 points in 30 minutes last night. Yikes!
Did not look interested last night, James Harden. It was weird home game for them, and they just sort of mailed it in.
I'm going to need a full NBA. I'm going to need to do a crash course in the NBA beginning on Monday when basketball season officially starts after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, after the Super Bowl will be over. NBA trade deadline is on Thursday, so that'll be done. And it'll be like, hey, now here's what you need to know about basketball. I like that.
And then we dive in. One thing that I do. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say 3 games in the NHL tonight. We should hit on those before Patty slides in. But
yeah, so the Raptors 16 and 34. I always like to look at the bottom of the standings in the NBA. It's always interesting to see the teams that are going for the lottery.
Like the full-blown tank.
The Wizards 8 and 41, Jazz 11 and 37, Pelicans. Is Zion still on the Pelicans?
Yeah, he's still sitting there.
They're 12 and 38. Like, wasn't he supposed to be like a franchise-changing player?
He's had some injury issues along the way. I think they might want to redo that pick.
Oh, my God. He's only played 14 games.
Yeah.
It's like Luka, not in shape.
Yeah,
your ass traded.
I think the Zion not in shape thing. I loved Markieff Morris was asked yesterday about the thoughts of Luka not being in shape. And he goes, if you can drop 35, 15, and 10 in this league, and you're out of shape. I don't know what shape is. It's just like, yeah, pretty impressive. All right, Huss, 3 games tonight. Bruins and Rangers. Oilers are on the second half of back-to-back in Chicago against Bedard and the Blackhawks. Oilers still minus 278 moneyline favorites in the second half of a road back-to-back. And then the Habs plus 202 against the Los Angeles Kings. The total in that game is set at 5. I do have a bone to pick with the Washington Capitals. I mentioned this on my show today. I started doing these 3-game under bets and getting a little bit of a boost. So I've done 5 of them, and I was tracking it before. I was like, man, like this would have hit like 6 of the last 7 nights. Like I'm going to start getting on this. And 3 of the 5 nights, 2, it's hit twice. 3, the other 3 nights, it's been ruined by the Washington Capitals, who before I started doing this had not played an over game in over a month. And now they're just like a steady diet of not
9 goals a night.
Yeah, I'm like, what the hell's going on? They had their totals were like 5.5 for a month, and they were finishing under every single time. And now they're combining in 8, 9, 10 goal games. I'm done with the Caps. They're driving me crazy right now. Luckily, they're not on the slate tonight. So we do have 3 games. I'll get the starting goalies.
I felt like an idiot yesterday, and I brought this up beforehand, but we just saw one of the games of the year, Saturday night, top 2 teams in the league, Winnipeg and Washington. They go to overtime, a thriller. Both of those teams, with 2 days rest in between, were at home last night, and were both home dogs. Like the Jets went off at like close to plus 130, I think, once Comrie was announced as the starter. But even before that, Carolina was minus 118 when the game dropped, and the Jets were plus 100. And then the Caps were also home dogs against the Panthers, who had just spent the time hobnobbing with Trump at the White House after winning the Cup last year. I mean, the top 2 teams in the league as home dogs, I don't know why we didn't just automatically
just go with that.
Together.
Yeah.
On that. Lesson learned. But, a bunch of teams on back-to-backs. The Bruins shut out the Wild last night, which, the Wild, they've now gone 2 straight games without scoring. The New York Rangers did not play last night, so they're sort of in a bit better of a situation tonight going in, and I think they've been playing much better than Boston has been overall. So, I think Rangers maybe in reg minus 130. I wouldn't even mind the actual Rangers puck line tonight, to be honest. Oilers at Blackhawks, you know where I'm going to say here. It just... Stay
away from Chicago.
Well, it's happened now. The Oilers should not lose this game, and I don't think that they will.
They got us once last week while you were gone. I can't remember if it was me or Pat or me and Jake, but we were talking about it, and I think we ended up staying away from it, but we had the whole discussion. We're like, we put the Hawks on here, and then it would ruin it, and ha, ha, ha. And then sure enough, I can't remember who they beat last week, but I was like, damn it, Chicago did it again. So this would be very on brand for the 24-25 Chicago Blackhawks to pull this off against, or they lose 6-1. It's frustrating. I have sent an EST parlay over to Jake, and he also did say if you would just want to get chalky tonight in the National Hockey League, that's already up. Chalk it up is plus 209 if you just like the Rangers, the Oilers, and the Kings tonight.
Yeah, that's there. I'm thinking about popping the Rangers on the puck line at plus 120. You know what's funny? It's funny. Like these 3 teams are all pretty big favorites. What would it be? Never mind the chalk. What about some blowouts tonight? What if we went Oil and Kings? 3 puck lines plus 754.
Plus 754 just on 3 convincing
Rangers,
victories
Kings,
tonight.
Oilers to win by 2.
Yeah, the one that really concerns me there would be the Kings. But they are coming off. Well, this is their first game back at home after a 5-game trip out east.
Yeah, and the Montreal played in San Jose last night.
Yeah, came away with the dub. They'd lost 5 in a row before that, though. So yeah, I like the number. I'm not going to say no to this. There's no way. This
is the super chalk it up parlay. 3 puck lines: Rangers, Oilers, Kings.
And then let's boost it.
Yeah, so it'll basically be 8-1.
All right, Jake,
Let's
you're
take
watching.
a swing that way. I don't have a good argument for any of the underdogs, and I think all 3 of these teams. Well, to be honest, I worry about the Oilers, because the Oilers could either be like
They've also been sick. Like some guys have been missing because there's like a flu running through the team right now. But I mean,
5-13 if we just put the Oilers on. But again, you know what? Let's go big or go home tonight. There's only 3 games.
All right, there we go, Jake. Lock it in. We want puck line on the favorites tonight. Little puck line parlay. All right, P. Greggy is waiting anxiously, wants to slide in here. As we had Jamie McLennan on this morning, and Noodles is working that Senators road trip right now. And then he kind of just sort of quickly dropped on it. He goes, "Yeah, I got to do a game Friday, and then I'm off to the Waste Management Open for a boys' weekend." I was like, "What? How do you pull that? How do you pull that off? Well done, sir."
Biggest shit show in sports.
Yeah,
nothing like it.
I thought they were dialing it back this year, weren't they? Wasn't there something about?
We'll see. Yeah, it was such a gong show last year.
Yeah,
I think. I don't know. Pat might have some details on that. How it's going to be.
Pat, did you know if they actually put in like some changes to the party scene?
I mean, I haven't heard much. I know that there were like 54 arrests last year. They stopped serving alcohol at like an outrageous time. So yeah, I'm sure maybe they've upped security, but I mean, let's be honest, guys. This is the people's major. This is the party zone. You'll see Canadian guys wearing Mountie suits in the stands. You'll see other costumes, the beer shower if someone gets a hole in one. It's an unbelievable tournament. It's on my bucket list. I feel like I'm a bit too old to be going now, but if Noodles is going, that means that I can still go and still have a time. But man, oh man, I can only imagine being just out of college and having a boys trip to the Waste Management. Man, that would be an all-time.
You're married. You're not retired. You still got that club in your bag to go out there, have a good time. I've been there once. It was the Saturday before the Super Bowl when we were out there all week for the show. The game was the next day. Went there in the afternoon, and it was you walking, getting out of the Uber and walking about the kilometer into the gates was like walking through the most raging kegger at ASU. I mean, you got girls in their 20s in these little dresses running around, no idea where they are. They've been partying for 36 hours. And I'm like, this is a PGA golf tournament? And then you get out there. Never was able to get onto the 16th. We got there a little late.
Oh, no.
Didn't have a hookup. But, I mean, I think on that Saturday, I think they said there was like 120,000 people on the grounds.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, more than some tournaments in its entirety for 4 days on that Saturday. So, Dusty, be sure to get some tales from Noodles the next time he comes back.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait. I was just like, okay, well, we'll talk to you on Wednesday. So, yeah, he's going to have a good time. Right place to go, I would think. All right, Patty, how's things going otherwise, buddy?
It's good. I mean, head is spinning here. At Coolbet HQ, dealing with the big game, the Super Bowl coming up. It's been awesome. It's been great. It's been busy, but Huss brings up the sad aspect of the Super Bowl. Come Monday morning, the most depressing day of the year. Maybe not necessarily for Huss because he still has a day to celebrate, but for us non-Super Bowl winners, it's a sad time. So we're going to have to start sinking our teeth into other things. And I think we'll really sink our teeth even more into golf. I said it last week. Pebble Beach to me is the unofficial start of the golf season, the PGA Tour season. And this week it's not an elevated event like we've seen in previous years, but still a very impressive field at TPC Scottsdale this year, which I think gives us an opportunity to bet on some big names this week.
Yeah, the biggest name is back, and he's shorter than a 3-1 favorite. How about that?
Nuts.
Scotty Scheffler plus 280. This is his first tournament this year, isn't it?
He played last week.
He actually played.
He played last week, and it was his first appearance after him withdrawing from a couple of tournaments in the fall because he cut himself at Christmas. He finished T9.
Oh, yeah.
His tee to green numbers, his approach numbers were insane, but as we kind of alluded to last week, Dusty, at Pebble Beach, one of the toughest short putting courses on the planet, it's really tough to get behind him at that short number. I'll play spoiler here, though. It's once again too short of a number for me to play the outright on Scheffler. I do want to get a piece of him somehow. I will get a piece of him somehow, but at plus 280 to win this tournament, I just don't know if that's the play.
Well, let's get into it, Patty. You start us. Who do you got on the card this week?
Yeah, it's going to start things off. And again, this is why sometimes betting at the start of the week can really, really do yourself some favors. Sam Burns, I got him at 25 to 1. He's now down to 22 to 1. And you know what? Sam Burns historically is a bit of a slow starter on tour. We don't really see him start heating up until, the Florida swing. This year, it's kind of been the same, but he hasn't been terrible. He's just been okay, which is fine. He finishes T8 at the Century to start the year off, but then goes T21 and T22 at the Amex and the Pebble Beach, respectively. So not terrible.
Not the end of the world, right? Like not the end of the world. Yeah.
I'm not hitting any alarms, but he's also not the hottest golfer on the planet right now. But with that being said, TPC Scottsdale is a very good course fit for him. He's a guy that's really great off the tee with his driver. There's a lot of opportunities to use your driver at this course. Super, super fast greens, and he loves playing in the desert. Historically, he's actually ranked 4th in stroke gains in the desert. He's struggled at this event to start his career. He missed 2 cuts in his first 3 appearances, but since then, a T6 and last year, a T3 at the Waste Management. I don't think he's going to be one of these guys that are going to be rattled by the environment. I actually think he's going to embrace it. Even when he was playing horrendous golf at the Ryder Cup, he was hamming it up with the fans, trying to get the fans going. So I think he's going to actually embrace what the Waste Management is all about. And I think at this number, even at 21, I still would be betting it, but I'm counting my lucky stars. I got him at 25 at the start of the week. Another guy that's number is moved, and another guy that I'm going with course history over recent form is Sahith Theegala. 45 to 1 at the start of the week. He's now down to 40 to 1. And it's been a sluggish start. I'm not going to lie. It's been a bit ugly for him. He hasn't finished higher than 37th in his first 3 tournaments of the year this season. But again, like Burns, this is a place that's been very kind to Theegala. He's finished inside the top 5 in 3 appearances at the Waste Management Open, including that real breakout for him back in 2022. If you've watched the Netflix series, you saw him. He was in contention pretty much until the very end. And then on 17, he put it in the water. He still managed to finish T3 there. He plays very well on the West Coast, and he actually ranks 9th in the field in strokes gained in the desert.
Yeah, I saw that.
Theegala, this is a great course fit for him as well. Now, I know I went with 2 guys that maybe aren't in the best of form, but course history, I'm going to go with a guy who has both. He's playing well and has played well at this as well. Mind you, it's a small sample size, playing well here. And Maverick McNeely, you're hearing that name more and more often.
Again.
Back to McNeely again. And I think you guys know when I latch onto a guy, you got to get the jaws of life off here. And I think McNeely is becoming one of my guys. He's been playing really well since he had his first tour victory in the fall. He's gained over 4.5 strokes from tee to green in 3 of 4 starts this year. And he has been absolutely striping his irons. We know how well he is off the tee as well. Similar to Burns, he's a guy that can mash it. And I think he can take that to his advantage at this course. As mentioned, course history definitely in his favor. He's only played here once, though, but he finished T6 last year and gained strokes in all 4 major categories. Once again, he was 60 to 1, now down to 50 to 1. I would still probably play him maybe all the way to like 45 to 1. Anything lower and shorter than that, I'm not touching. But I got him at 60. I would play him at 50 here, and I'm probably going to play him in a top 20 as well.
Honorable mention for Batia? Yeah, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for and I got to look at Bat. I'm just waiting. I thought maybe you'd bring him up.
There you go. So I will go. Perfect. I'll add him too. Add him to my card, Jake.
There you go. All right, Huss.
I'm taking 3 guys, and Akshay was just listen, at 66 to 1. He's a guy that I think is now confident enough that he can play with anybody on tour. He's used to being, there on Sunday. There's not necessarily a great history of the course or anything like that, but I just think that, with this field, a player like that can pop on any given week, I think he'll really be into the atmosphere of it all as a younger guy. I like him. So I got a smaller sprinkle on Akshay at 66 to 1. Listen, you want to talk about course history, you want to talk about recent form, how can we not be betting on Nick Taylor at 50 to 1? Mm-hmm. He's the defending champion of this event. The year before, he finished second in the event. He's already won on tour this year. And you're slapping a 50 down beside him for a guy that knows exactly what this tournament is about and has thrived in it for the last 2 years. Nick Taylor is the early season guy. I don't know whether we're going to be on him in the second half of the season. This is when he makes his hay. He won here last year. He's going to be going to defend a title. He's already feeling great about what he's done so far this year. Definitely getting a piece of Nick Taylor in at 50 to 1. I did see a stat that the last 7, it's either 5 winners of the Waste Management had a top 7 finish in the previous tournaments in the previous month leading in, or 7 with the top 5. I think it's the last 5 had top 7. A guy that played very well last year, and another guy that I think will absolutely embrace everything that the Waste Management is about. Played well. I shouldn't say last year. Played well last week at Pebble. Last year was a top 20 player, finished T17 at this event, is Tom Kim. And when I think of Tom Kim, Tom Kim loves the energy and the emotion. I think if he can get off to a good start, I think he could be there on Sunday. He's at 28 to 1. So I'm going Tom Kim at 28, Nick Taylor at 50, and then a little sprinkle on our guy Akshay at 66 to 1. I couldn't help myself.
It's Patty and I are always very close on these things. You already have 2 of mine. I'm on Sahith and I'm on Sam Burns. So, you've already laid it out on both of those guys. My third guy's even more chalkier than Sam Burns, but Justin Thomas at 12 to 1. What do you have? He shot a 74, I think, over the weekend. Kind of took him out of the contention at Pebble. But if we're talking about course history here, since 2018, he's finished no worse than T17. He's got 4 top 10s. And we've been talking about this Justin Thomas resurgence for a little while here. I don't know if there's a better place for him to kind of pop back to the top than at this event. So my 3 guys are Justin Thomas, Sam Burns, and Sahith, and then a sprinkle on Andrew Novak at 80 to 1. 13th at Pebble, solo 3rd at the Farmers, debuted at Waste Management last year and finished T8. So he's been playing well recently, has only played this track with the one time, managed to finish in the top 10 in his debut. So it's 80 to 1. It's a long shot, but I'm going to have a little bit on Novak as well.
Dusty, we had the lock of the responsible lock of last week cash, and that was the Jason Day top 20. I laid out how insane that was. This one's maybe not as crazy. In the sweatsuit too, to close it out in the Malbon sweatsuit, which is probably everyone's giving him flack. The sweatsuit itself probably head to toe cost.
I support Jason Day's fashion. I hope that he starts an entirely new trend. We normalize sweatsuits everywhere.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So I'm going to go to another old dog here, Ricky Fowler. He has 6 top 15 finishes at this event, including a win in 2019. And he's also been a runner-up in 2010 and 2016. Probably will sprinkle him. I think it's at 90 to 1. I'll add that, but a top 20 plus 187. So I've been quite successful to start this year with my top 20 bets. We had Jason Day top 20 last week as my favorite bet. My best bet this week, my best bet will be Ricky Fowler.
Man, I'm looking at Ricky
20.
Fowler plus 220 right now for top 20.
220. Oh my goodness.
Plus
even
220
better.
right now. So it's even better than what you were looking at. Because I see the plus 187s, Taylor, McNeely, Siwoo Kim, Matty Fitz, and then Ricky's at plus 220 with Wyndham Clark, Batia, Kitayama.
I like that even better.
Yeah. So that's even a better number. All right, what do we put together for the parlay here? Like I said, I think Sam Burns has to be on there. Patty, you and I are both on him. I don't know where we want the number on Sahith to be. Haas, who do you feel most confident in and throwing into a top 20 parlay here?
Either Taylor or Tom Kim. I mean, one of those two guys.
Tom Kim's plus 120. Nick Taylor's plus 187. So, I mean,
the number makes more sense for Taylor, who has been, as you say, first and second in the last 2 times out there, and we're getting a much better number. I think Tom Kim is a guy, again, he was 7th, I think, last week. I mean, he was 16 under par. He'll get into it. I don't know, Patty, who do you like better out of those two, considering the numbers?
Oh boy, I think every single week you ask me, it's 9 out of 10 events. I'm probably saying Tom Kim, maybe 8, because one of them would be the Canadian Open. But I really, really like Nick Taylor here. I really, really do. I like the spot, and I like the better number.
Fun guy to cheer on. One of our Canadians.
So we got Burns and Taylor right now. So who
Burns,
we want
Taylor, and Sahith, or
do you want to go? Huss, where do you come on, Sahith?
Oh, listen, I like Sahith, and if I'm not mistaken,
hasn't been playing great. Like Patty laid it out, and I was looking at the numbers earlier. He hasn't been great to start this season. Like this is a course history play, right, Patty?
100%. Yeah. He almost won it in 2022. He's played great here. He was good here last year. And again, he plays well in these desert style courses. He's the type of guy that like they'll go, and now we'll go to the 7th for Sahith Theegala. And he'll be behind a cactus with like, a coyote in front of him. But then he'll hit this miraculous shot out. Like he's very, very Jordan Spiethy, where he could spray it all over the course. But he's also the type of guy that has it in his bag where he can get himself out of trouble. He's such a great short game player. He putts well on fast greens, which these are some of the fastest greens on tour. So I think it's a great spot for him, really.
Right. And I'm a fan of him too. So if we go Burns, Sahith, Nick Taylor.
All right, there we go. 20. That'll be it. Top 20s. Greg's golf special is up. You've got a top 10 for Bryson at the Live, and maybe we can dive into that here. And then Waste Management, Scotty Scheffler top 10, Sahith to make the cut, and Sam Burns to make the cut. All that combined, plus 239 in the combo cards for Greggy's golf special. Patty, what about this Live event?
Huss laid it out perfectly when I sent it into the group chat. I was all sorts of fired up. That was the
group chat. I knew I saw it. I was like, yeah.
It's going to be cool. It's going to be on during the day for us. We're going to be able to watch it, and it's under the lights over there. With that being said, because it's kind of gimmicky, I guess you could say, Bryson DeChambeau, I wish I got a better number at this, but at plus 800. I think he's a guy that he probably hits balls in his backyard under floodlights anyways. It's probably normal to him. He's not really going to care about him. So I like him at plus 800. Maybe the other bet that I want to make here is David Puig, 25 to 1. He's the other Spaniard, or one of the other Spaniards on Live Golf, and he is off to a streaking hot start. He's been on the DP World Tour. He's one of these guys that play Live and DP World Tour. Finished T2 at the Bahrain Championships just a week ago, so he's going to be acclimatized to the time change. And then another DP World Tour event just a couple of weeks prior, finished in third. And then at the Andaluca Masters in the fall, he finished just outside the top 10. So recent form has been really, really strong for David Puig, and you're getting that 25-1. I mean, in all likelihood, it's probably going to come from the top with Rahm, Hatton, Neiman, DeChambeau, maybe even a Smith or Brooks Koepka. But at a little bit of a longer shot, let's go with Puig at 25-1.
Any additional thoughts on this?
I'm going to ride with you with a little bit on Bryson. Can't believe we're now Bryson guys. Never thought I'd see the day.
I know. It's crazy.
But I'm also going to put down, and I'm trying to find, I don't know whether this guy has played at all, but I can't get away from my old buddy Abe Answer. Abraham, 25-1. A small sprinkle.
I love you referring to him as your old buddy Abe Answer, like you went to school with him or something. Yeah.
Hey, I had some good runs with Abe before he decided to take his talents to the Live Tour. But I do want to have a little bit of action on this. So we'll go with Bryson, and we will go with Abe Answer. 25-1. I think Abe's such a quality player. You know, you look at his Live results last year, he was routinely in the top 10, won in Hong Kong. Maybe he comes out with a great start to the year.
Huts, what's coming up on Winnipeg Sports Talk, buddy?
Well, Kevin Sawyer's going to jump on with us, break down the game last night. Ken Wiebe, Feinberg's going to come on. We'll chop it up, talk a little Super Bowl, get his thoughts on Live and the waste management. And more than anything, my impassioned plea to get your Jets bets in before people wake up and change this number will be delivered to the people of Winnipeg today. Patty, don't tell Ev Dog and those guys. Let's get these bets in.
Yes, of course. I will. That you're doing the Lord's work right now for Winnipeg. Quickly, Huss, if you do have Feinberg on, please ask him about these sports betting beef Twitter spaces that have been going on the last
I saw you were listening too.
It's unbelievable.
Okay, what's going on?
Oh, can you describe this, Pat?
So basically, the hardcore sports betting community. We're talking the old school guys, the new school guys, basically over the last week have been getting together for these Twitter spaces late at night, basically just to air their grievances and throw people under the bus. You know, people that have fraud pick accounts and all these things, and it's just been absolutely electric. And we know Feinberg.
Who is the elf guy? Who is this elf?
No idea. He's come out of nowhere. I had no idea who this guy was until I saw all these betting people that I follow also in these streams. It's been just unbelievable stuff. It's basically just air it out session after air it out session. And obviously Jeff is not afraid to throw a little gasoline on the fire.
Yeah, right in the mud. He's jumped. They talk about that stuff on Pizzola's show, Circles Off, which is quite hilarious. But I mean, I was still in Costa Rica when I discovered this, and it was going to be Taylor Mathis and Nadeau.
I know. That's the first one I saw.
That was that was all like, all right, I'm in. And
I don't know if you saw, Taylor Mathis is in Costa Rica right now. You just missed out on her, buddy.
Oh, geez.
There you go.
Well, listen, Taylor Mathis has nothing on what Costa Rica is bringing to the table. Not that I don't support walking bets and everything else that she brings. But yes, those Twitter spaces have been absolutely insane. I will bring that up with Feinberg later on today.
Huss, she's got walking bets. You had swimming bets down in Costa Rica.
Believe me. Same thing.
Needed
Magical
to bring
pool.
some of that magic water from the pool. No liquids on the plane. We had to leave it there. Did a little...
Heavy Super Bowl focus on the next two lock shops as we head in to the big game. Chris over in the Nasty Chat says, I believe Huss met Answer at Hooters in Costa Rica. Abe Answer. That's what you guys, that's your old pal there. That's good stuff. We got the oil stream coming up next for Patty and Huss. Thank you very much for joining us in the lock shop today. Best of luck tonight, and we will talk to you tomorrow.